let's go back, let's go back, let's go back, let's go back.
Hello.
What's up?
Welcome back to AirGo.
You are here.
I'm assuming you've heard it before.
I hope so.
That might not be a safe assumption, but let's roll with it.
All right.
What we're doing on this episode is going back in the archives. Each month this year, we are highlighting an episode from the AirGo crates and going back to bring it to you for the second time, or if you haven't heard it before, welcome.
Yeah, and this one is a treat. We were really feeling ourselves. This is one of our first times in LA together, and we got to hit up our homie Malik, aka bLAck pARty, and he messed around and got internet famous on us.
He did. It's really helped float our numbers.
Yeah.
There are some sponsorships that we're like, well, we have an average number of these listeners. That thank you, Malik, for making that possible, keeping those numbers boosted.
His SoundCloud was popping. Why was his SoundCloud popping? Because he did a lot of work with Childish Gambino as well as Carrie Foe, and
his music's really, really good.
He is a great artist himself.
His most recent project, Endless Summer, came out last year. It's really good. It is good summer music or like LA drive around music. I have one objection. He does have a song where he's like, if it gets too cold in LA, I go to Australia. And it's like, buddy, it never gets too cold in LA.
Stop complaining. But
that caveat placed, it's a really fun conversation. We actually talk about aliens for a long time.
And he was kind of early on the ball. The alien conversation has kind of blown up and gone mainstream.
The avant-garde of the alien combo. So really a great conversation. We're excited to get y'all listening. Let's go back to 2017 for our conversation with Malik Flint, aka bLAck pARty.
Yeah.
Take a walk around the beach, put your feet in the sand. Don't you be scared, I'll hold your hand. Nothing can describe the feeling that I feel when I'm with you. Forevermore, I'll never forget you. Baby, you can be my summer love. Wanna vibe with you, wanna get high with you, get in the car and drive with you. Baby, you can be my summer love. Baby, can you be my summer love?
Hello.
Hey.
How you doing?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm all right. How about you, man?
See, I'm polite. Sometimes I actually ask you as opposed to your hypothetical. Oh, you're listening to AirGo, WHPK, AirGoRadio.com. I'm Kiss.
I'm Damon.
And we're living large currently.
Yeah, man. We're out here. It's fake sunny California. We came and brought the clouds with us.
We're in Los Angeles here with a very special guest. Actually, I don't know what the correct artist name is because I know you by your real name, but I don't want to mess this up.
For sure.
How would you like to be referred to?
Under music, I go by bLAck pARty, but everybody who knows me personally just calls me Malik.
I'm comfortable with Malik. How do you feel about that?
I'm down with Malik.
Yeah, you just
But bLAck pARty, that's dope though, man.
Thank you.
Like I see it online, but to hear it said out loud. So I have this thing I call it the Belle Biv DeVoe moment. Anytime there's magic, anytime somebody comes up with a clever name or a witty something, I think about Poison. Because the Belle Biv DeVoe only had one hit.
True.
But I know when they made that hit, they were like, oh, this shit is gold.
One day, the people are going to hear this and be devastated that you don't view their other songs as hits.
I mean, they have a whole classic
that's a fact,
career.
It's not even like
they have a whole classic career in New Edition. They are, they have a movie now, so they don't care about me. But at Belle Biv DeVoe as an entity only has one moment, but a classic moment. And so I think bLAck pARty is a dope name. Tell us about that moment where you were like, yo, I'm rocking with this.
Okay. So I used to be in a rock band called Flint Eastwood, and it
another dope name.
Yeah, so basically that folded, and I wanted to,
keep working on music again within like a band format. So I tried to start another band. Didn't necessarily work out, but through that, I went on a quest finding a great band name, and bLAck was the one name I picked. And like anytime because I was working at a smoke shop at the time, and I remember like the guy who was my manager, he was like, I was like, yo, what do you think about this name? And he was like, yeah, it's cool.
You're like, you can't see the vision, man. You're out.
I was like, all right, that's enough. And then I asked my boss, and she was just like, oh, it's cool. So then, like after a while, yeah. But after a while, the name just started growing, and like it started, like I don't know, I stuck with it because I'm like really bad with just sticking with a name or an idea. But like that name just stuck, and from that point on, like everything was like set in stone. I was like, all right, I'm keeping the name.
Yeah. So I mean, we can give a little context to how we know, because I know you pre that name. I know you under the even pre-Flint Eastwood name.
Yeah.
I know you under the I'm gonna say MP, the MVP moniker.
Yeah.
We're going way back.
Yeah.
But Malik is a friend of a friend who went to school with Damon and us. Shout out to Nick. Also the only person to ever give us an AirGo shout out in a rap verse is Nick Ward.
What?
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick.
They'll tell you this life ain't fair though. You think too much, just let your head go. They want us dead, so what you scared for? Cause everybody ain't like you, just let your head go. Just let your head go. Just let your head go.
Maybe I'll fold it in.
Yeah. Play that. I missed the first round.
But Nick was always speaking of, but Nick was always talking about this kid back in Little Rock where he was from, who was like, I don't know what the deal is with this guy, but like he just keeps giving me things that like I can't wait to rap over, and like he's crazy, he's crazy, he's like a little kid. For years. And then eventually we did this big show. It was like one of the first things that Damon and I ever collaborated on. We did this big concert for his music with a live band our senior year in Grinnell, like in this big chapel. And we flew you up to Iowa from Little Rock for that show.
That was my only college experience.
Had you ever been flown anywhere for anything before? To this day, like
before that?
Yeah, before
no,
that.
Definitely not. That was the first time. It was funny because like I just remember you were like, yeah, got enough to fly you out. And I was like, awesome. I get to fly to Iowa. And then it's funny because like I don't know, it's such a great experience because I tell the story all the time. I was like, that's my college week.
It's crazy because getting flown out sounds so luxurious until you finish the sentence of like getting flown out to Iowa.
On the Concorde, But before we get into all the stuff you're doing now, like when you tell the story, or like when you think about that time, because we've done things since then that have reached more people or been like a bigger thing. But like that to me is one of the things that I'm proudest of making from scratch, because I like didn't know how to do anything at that point, and we still made it. Like, what was that experience like for you?
I thought it was dope because it was just a moment of ingenuity to me. Like I felt like, I don't know, I felt like being a part of something that was just like a moment that everybody who was involved with that moment will never forget. Yeah. And it's like you don't really have that too many times in life where it's just like a moment where it's a lot of people from a lot of different places, a lot of different backgrounds, and everybody just comes together and makes something beautiful. Yeah. So it's like something dope to like be like to witness and be a part of, and like be fortunate to be a part of,
How about you, Dame? What was it like?
I remember Nick gave me some hot chocolate and burned my mouth. Like he knew it was hot as hell. He was like, "Hey, what's up?" Nah, but that was a super dope experience. I had just like almost got arrested. And so we got to like do some songs about the police and everything. And it was really cool because in that venue, like Thurgood Marshall had spoke there, like Martin Luther King had spoke there. And I felt very culturally disconnected from that place the whole time I was there. And for that to be like the last few months of school, and and there'd be like this new like resurgence and feeling a part of community in a very limited sense was dope.
Yeah, it was fun. I still have all the audio that we recorded there that we never put out anywhere. So maybe to add to the list of things I'm going to roll in, I think like maybe I'll link to that. I'll put it up somewhere. But since then, Malik, you've like done a whole bunch of stuff and found your way out here and are making music and doing some exciting stuff. How long you been in Los Angeles?
I've been in LA for over 2 years. I moved out here Halloween of 2014.
And I know this is the story that everyone I'm sure asks you to tell, but like how'd you end up out here and what was that journey?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make this story short, but
I'd prefer if you did it word for word the way you've done it in every other interview. That's the real
back in 2014, I was doing a lot of I was really involved in the city doing like music, putting on shows or
You talking about back home?
Yeah, back home, back in Little Rock in 2014. I was staying with my brother, working 2 jobs, like doing a bunch of odd jobs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would throw shows, I would record some rappers, do some engineering stuff, production for people. And around that time, I was starting my own project again because I always take years off to just perfect my craft or anything I feel like I'm weak at. I try to
what does that perfection process look like? Or what's an example of you being in this like the gym basically?
Yeah, so basically for me, like ever since I was like 16, probably younger than 16, I'll say about 15, 16, I was always rapped and produced. So it was like kind of a double thing. But as I started getting older, I decided to like take some time to work on either or and just kind of like tighten that up. So if I feel like my rapping is better than my production, I need to tighten my production up. And then when it's time to be like, all right, well, let me get my rapping up to par with my production now, then I go and like tighten that up and.
So you're in one of those periods where you're like returning to it and doing your own stuff again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to say 2014, I was also working with an artist, Carrie Foe, doing a lot of production with her because we worked on her because she had put out 2 mixtapes that year. We worked on the second one that year was Laugh Now, Die Later, which is the one that kind of propelled her. And
she was in Little Rock too.
Yeah, she was in Little Rock as well. And one of the records on Laugh Now, Die Later, No Small Talk, is one that we co-produced together and ended up catching like a lot of traction. And it caught the ear of a bunch of different people, but one of the main people that reached out around that time was my manager, my now current manager, Fam, found me on Twitter. Ended up hitting me up like, yo, I like the No Small Talk song. And I was like, oh, appreciate it. Told him I worked on it with Carrie, like just at the house, at the crib, whatever. And like he hit me back like 12 hours later and was like, yo, give me a call. So I'm like at my friend's house. So I was like,
nah, nigga, call me.
I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm at my friend's house and I kind of go off and I call him. I'm like, yo, what's up? And he's just like, yo, I fuck with you guys' music. I fuck with you guys' sound. Like, I work with Childish Gambino. I played it for him.
But you didn't know that before the phone call?
I knew, well, I kind of did just a little bit because I kind of keep up with like certain people that surround artists. So I knew he was in that camp. I didn't know what his exact role was. I just knew he was in that camp. So I kind of like, I don't know. I just used my inference to be like, okay, he's probably in.
Look, we all know you're a smart dude.
Yeah. but yeah, so he was just like, yeah, I played down on the record. I can't make any promises, but he made remix the record if that's cool with you guys. So I was like, yeah, I mean, shit, that's dope. Like, I'll let Carrie know. And then I asked him for his email and I was like, yo, if you guys are working on something, I'll send you beats. And I sent him probably like 25 beats like, in like 25 different directions. And pretty much from that point on, we just kept in contact. We would call, check in, and it wasn't like a forceful relationship. It was just kind of like, if I needed something, he'd like give his 2 cents or his advice or whatever.
He would pick up the phone when you called.
Yeah. So and that relationship pretty much developed, and Donald ended up getting on No Small Talk. And then during the summer, fam was talking about coming to visit. He was like, I want to check out Little Rock. I want to see like what's up with the city. And so him and Donald ended up coming out there, and we like it's funny, we rolled around in Carrie's mom's truck, like just took him kind of like a little mini tour around the city, and we went back to my house because I was saying kind of in the hood area. It's like Southwest Little Rock, but like took him around there, took my brother's barber college, just weird random places around the city.
That's quite a tour. Let's go to this barber.
Yeah, because like I was like, yo, I gotta get my brother. So like
you want a haircut from someone who's never given a haircut before?
So how old are you at this time?
That was 2014. So I was. And
this is like already after because of the internet?
Yeah, this is after because I think because the internet came out 2012, 2013, sometime. So this was like right before Kauai, because No Small Talk ended up on Stone Mountain Kauai project. And
so y'all are driving around.
Yeah, we're just driving around the city.
And do you have a sense of like what they're like thinking about, or is it just like, I guess we'll just take this as it goes?
Yeah, honestly, it was one of those situations like, all right, I guess
they were just really curious about Little Rock.
I guess this is, but also it's like when you're from a place that's that small, you have a certain desire for people to just at least want to check it out. Yeah. And so, because sometimes rappers do come, or certain celebrities will come there. Because that's the weird thing about Little Rock. I don't know what it is, but like certain people will come there and be like, I kind of like this place. Because like I think Dave Chappelle, when he made his like comeback, he did a show in Little Rock and was there for like a week, just like chilling. Like he was like, people could see him be like, oh, I saw Dave Chappelle at a bar, like. Or just like Michael Cera, Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp hangs out in Arkansas.
A hilarious 3-person group, by the way.
Really?
Dave Chappelle, Michael Cera, Johnny Depp, just all getting their haircuts in a line.
So I want you to continue the story of him coming to town, but also I'm curious, like, so you're like 18 at this point, right? 18, 19?
Actually, I'm a little older. I think I was 21
at
this point.
But still like a young guy from a relatively small town who's like very passionate about the craft, but at the same time kind of isolated. But then you have this moment of being affirmed.
Yeah.
And so how did that then like impact your, like, did it make you want to do it more, or did it drive you to create in a different way?
I think the main thing it was kind of like a reaffirmation that I was on the right path, if anything. Like, it was such a bizarre kind of thing to even like be like, yeah, Donald Glover came to my house. It's like, it was more so just like a reaffirmation. Is like, yeah, you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing.
Does he also just do this? Is he like just like visiting teenagers' houses in small towns?
No, I think it was just that's a funny thing because it's like it's
I can imagine that being a part of his process.
It's like, like this week I'm in Bemidji, Minnesota, Rochester, New York. Like,
catch me out in Vermont next week.
Burlington. But yeah, so you take him on this tour.
Yeah, I think it was just more. It's funny because in a way it's kind of just like the curiosity of being like, there's these 2 kids from this city that we don't really know anything about, and they're making their own thing, and there's nothing really around that we've heard, and it doesn't like feel like anything we've heard before. It's kind of unique because like music at this point is like regionalism is dead. Every region doesn't really have a unique sound anymore, except for certain key spots. Like LA kind of kept their sound a little bit, but even LA is borrowed from the Bay, and you know, Texas kind of kept its original sound. Yeah. But yeah, like it was just, I feel like that's what made them want to like be like, well, let's check this place out. Like, what's up with this? Like,
and I think part of what's so interesting about this, like what now we can understand as a path, but like at the time you're saying it's so unexpected. Like, it's not even something you can imagine, right? So it's not like you were like hitting his manager over and over again, like, hey, check out my music, check out my music. The thing, because we were going back and forth on the phone about whether it was Nick stuff or just in general at that point. And I'm just some, random dude we'd never met in Iowa. Yeah. Little Rock was like, you were so focused on trying to build around you a community of people making art and like whether it was the putting on shows, or I remember you talking about like beyond your own music, what you were really excited about was like there would be these nights that you would put on that like felt like nothing that you'd ever seen in the city before. What were those shows, or more importantly than what the shows were like what were you imagining the city starting to build? Like, did you feel like there actually was this kind of critical mass of people really interested in making cool stuff?
Yeah, I think the general idea of like creating a scene is kind of bringing together like-minded, or even just individuals that aren't necessarily like-minded, but it's like y'all have similar interests, similar fields. It's like kind of putting y'all in the room together. So it's like certain people can meet each other and they might make something cool, or certain people can be aware of each other, and it kind of creates a system. And that's really what I wanted to do in the city, is like create a world in which creatives could live and thrive and exist and like collab amongst each other, or not collab amongst each other, but they still are aware of each other, and there's shows that people can attend, which gets them more fans, because like fans see your live show, they're like, oh, I like that guy from last night, I'm gonna go check out his music. So it's just like creating a world that just a thriving system that artists can propel, you know.
How successful would you say, like, let's say before you moved, like how close to that being a thing that existed beyond you do you feel like was there?
Beyond me, I feel like it's gained traction, because I mean, now to my knowledge there wasn't any other young people doing hip-hop shows and like creating a scene. So it's like me and my friends kind of helped kickstart that, and now it's like other people are throwing shows, and it's like that's a beautiful thing. It's like it doesn't have to be just dependent on me. Like I don't want it to be like me or nothing. Like I want the show to keep going on, because it's like I have to die someday. I don't know.
that's important. Like I think that like we gotta talk about this sometimes. Like that honesty with yourself about like what life is, and how finite it is people's inability to like grasp that is where so much of like the chaos comes from.
Yeah, or because you have to realize
it's a humbling thing.
Yeah, so you have to realize it's like everything that you kind of, especially in this day and age, it's like we have the internet and all kinds of shit. So it's just like everything we have, other people built before us. We get to enjoy it. We don't get to enjoy them. It's like I couldn't tell you who built the printer, but I get to enjoy a printer now. But it's just like, you know, so it's just like people have to detach themselves from what they make in a way, because it's just like it's not about you, it's about what you're adding to lives of people that are gonna exist beyond you, you know.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, and I think it's something that I could imagine being really hard to remember out here, because like whenever anyone asks like, so, you know, how are you, what are you up to, what you're expected to answer is like, at least from my limited experiences, like, oh, I just got this project, or I'm doing this. Like your work is your creativity, is your identity, is your ego. It like all gets wrapped up.
It's funny, especially being out here is funny too, just because it's like people ask a lot of the same questions. So it's like even being interviewed isn't weird to me, just because it's like that's kind of how it is, just talking to people, because it's like because it's just like, oh, what have you been up to? It's just like, nah, I have to explain this same story to 10 other people.
Is that
like,
kind of the worst?
It's not even the worst. I just wish people ask more interesting questions. Like,
well, I want to go back to tell me about Donald. No.
what is the let's be more specific about that, because what are some of the questions that you get the most, that you're most annoyed with, and what is a question that you would love to hear? What's something you would like to talk about?
I know people ask a lot. I mean, it's just like I don't get bothered by just like the run of the mill questions. It's like the basic questions is like, how have you been? What are you up to? Like, how'd you get here? Or just certain questions like that. But it's like, if I want to know a person, I'm going to ask more in-depth questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of just blanket questions, like, I could give you those answers, but what do you do with those answers? It's like, what have you taken away from those answers?
So this is like, it's an odd interview question, but it's to what we're saying. Like, in this moment, in the last couple of weeks, like, what ideas have you been really chewing over? What have you been thinking about that's on your mind?
On my mind lately, like, I don't know. I've been in like weird spaces in my mind lately. Like, I've been really getting into just trying to figure out psychology in relation to music. and like
How'd you start
understanding.
down that rabbit hole?
As I've gotten older and I understand, like, I don't know, I took a step back and understood music from a different standpoint and understood why people, like, what, like, because I always had this joke, like, everybody around me, like, I'm always saying, like, certain songs aren't hits. So I'll be like, yeah, that person doesn't have any hits. And it's true, because it's like a hit is a song that, it's like, it's it's a certain science to making a hit. It's like, is the melody repetitive enough for an 8-year-old to sing, or the lyrics interesting enough for a 60-year-old to be like, I like this song? Like, there's just something, it's always something personal in there, or just like, it's so many things that make a song a great like hit song. Whether people like it or not, it's certain songs are hits regardless. Like, if an 8-year-old could pick this song up and be like, I like this, like, because kids, that's the thing about kids, it's like, they're very critical because they just say whatever's on their mind and they react how they react. They don't react based off of how their friends react. They react based off of how they act, because kids are at an internal stage until they start going, middle school and high school. And then that's when they're affected by what their friends think,
God, I remember being a camp counselor, and kids like have this amazing ability to like find the thing you're most insecure about and say it to your face. like, you look funny today. It's like, well, look, we're going to the park. You're gonna have to just deal with the fact that my face looks funny to you.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, but even understanding also understanding music on a level of like, as far as age, we're all kind of gapped, like on what we listen to. It's like an 8-year-old's favorite rapper might be Fetty Wap. Somebody who's my age their favorite rapper might be like Kendrick Lamar or something. But somebody who's older than me, they might like say somebody I'm 24. So it's like somebody who's 34 is probably going to be like, I don't know, Nas is my favorite rapper.
We were just talking about like, we're going to get close to the point that the music that we love is going to be on the like oldies grown station.
Definitely.
I can't fucking wait.
Definitely.
From like all of the hip hop and R&B from like 92 to 08 to just be like break the format. Man.
No, I feel like it's happening because like 94.7 it's like, I guess it's like an R&B station and they play oldies, but like you hear like certain cuts from like the 90s and you be like, dang, this is kind of
we got a station in Chicago called V103 and they're like starting to play Biggie and shit. It's like,
yeah.
They used to be like, no hip hop. We are the no hip hop station.
But that's the thing. It's like even rap is reaching a level where it's like it's not dangerous anymore. It's everybody. It's acceptable. Because at first, like, this is just like rock and roll. Like Elvis. Could you imagine Elvis is like something edgy? It's like there's nothing about Elvis is edgy. Like Elvis is about as
bland as it gets.
Like congressional hearings.
Yeah, like, or even just thinking about like Eminem back in the day. It's like he was getting like people were rioting against him. Like people were like, there was activism against Eminem. It's like Eminem died for Tyler's sins. It's like Tyler didn't have to deal with that. He didn't have to have like the news being like, Tyler the Creator, the women's activists are against his lyrics. They're burning his CDs and all this crazy stuff. It's like rap is now at a point where it's like, even people who are like 60, 70, they're like, oh, I like 50 Cent.
I saw Hamilton.
Like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, basically. So it's just like, and rap is that. So now it's like,
I understand the African American experience. So how does thinking about that and knowing that has changed and kind of doing the zoom out of what makes a hit, how is that impacting right now, like the music that you're trying to make? Yeah.
It makes me look at music from a different perspective. Like, because I read this like 2 years ago. I read this book by because I started reading it. It's funny because like I always start reading a book and then I get inspired like midway reading the book.
I just started to get to work. I can't finish this shit.
Gotta go. But yeah, like it's this book called How Music Works by David Buren from Talking Heads, and he just like breaks down music from like a kind of a scientific way. Like he explains how music worked for the venue that it was intended for.
Is that something somebody who like doesn't have expertise already could understand?
Definitely, because it's not even like you don't even have to be a musician to understand the book, and that was what was cool about it. And there's even pictures in there, and just like it's a really interactive book.
I don't read anything unless it's
AirGo reading list though.
we'll throw it on there. On the website, we have a section called AirGo Reading List. You can find the info for that and buy it right through there.
For sure. But yeah.
So you were thinking about that and in terms of how it's informing how you're making things right.
Yeah. So it kind of put music in a complete world for me. Like it wasn't just me making a song and trying to figure it, because I feel like as an artist, a lot of your job is like not knowing anything. But once you understand what to know, then you understand what you need to know. And I think that's the thing.
It's also like when your job is being a human being. That's also the description. Not knowing anything.
True. But even like, because like art is something we as humans created and we find special. It's like, because if somebody came from another planet, they'd be like, what is this? Yeah. But it's something that we created and we made special, and understanding why it connects to us the way it does is what I'm trying to like get to the bottom of.
This zoom out, sorry to cut you off, Dave, but like this zoom out that you're doing is super interesting. Being like, the thing that informs how I make anything now is I have to understand the way music like fits into both like psychology and history and like social theory, basically, and trying to understand all that. Is that ever like, I could imagine that being a little paralyzing also. Like I have to make the perfect thing out of all these, instead of just trusting your own ability to make something that's moving.
It can be paralyzed. What I've realized is not just because of the way I look at things. And also like my temperament is usually like my ups and downs aren't as dramatic. It's usually I'm out of 5 most of the time, and maybe I'll be super depressed one day and be at straight 1. But like for the most part, I can
9s and 10s.
So, well, if I'm mad, sometimes I get like I'm like super turned, or if I'm excited or something, like then I'm like, you know, I'm drunk. Drunk me is that drunk me is like 8 or 9. Okay. But it's also an internal thing, and that's also the understanding through, I guess, me understanding myself while understanding music, is understanding that perfection is just an idea, and I have this idea in my head, and me trying to make what I think in my head is the perfect song or the perfect way to do things is just an illusion at the end of the day. If I don't reach that, I'm personally like, I'm disappointed in myself. But if somebody else is like, well, this is perfect to me, they love it. Yeah, so it's like,
don't know what'll move someone else.
How have you found ways to work through that? Because like it's one thing to like on an intellectual level understand like I can't be perfect. Right? Yeah. But like once you feel that like this is not, how do you get through that?
I think the biggest thing is just remembering it's like, for one, everything is temporary. Music is infinite, like time is infinite. So it's just like, I'm 24, like I can still make music until I'm 84 or something. Like I have, my great grandfather was a pianist. He played piano until probably the day he died. He died like 92. So it was like, I can make music forever. So it's like not worrying about time sensitivity and not worrying about, oh, I should have did this or I should have did that. I should have did this. It's just like, get that idea out and move on to the next idea.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive, and it's really obvious that like you are intentionally like in a long struggle, right?
Yeah.
And process. I want to go back a little bit. What was the space, the time, and like the relationships when you first stepped into this artistic identity? What was your entry point? Did you start writing? You mentioned earlier before the interview that you played trumpet. What was the moment where like music and art was something that you were like, all right, I am going to do this?
Well, for starters, I grew up kind of in a musical household. Like my parents like bought a lot of music. Like we used to have a crazy CD collection, like probably hundreds upon hundreds of CDs. So it's just like my parents always played music, all genres. My mom used to sing later, once I started getting older, she started learning how to play piano and guitar. So it's like there's a lot of musical influence.
And even learning as an adult.
Yeah.
That's a good example there.
I would say the entry point was because like I played trumpet, but it was kind of like, like when you're a kid and you're like, I want to do this. And then you're like, well, this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. Cool, because originally when I went...
What do you mean I need to practice?
Yeah, basically.
No, I want to play trumpet.
Right. And that was kind of my attitude when I was younger. I was just like, why am I practicing? I just want to be good at this. Like,
I think Allen Iverson speaks for all of us.
Not a game, it's practice. Not the game I go all out for.
Because I'm big to defend Allen Iverson in that moment. But
let's not go left. That was a fair moment. But yeah, I really wish as a kid, because I feel like kids now need to understand what they do now in relation to what they're gonna do in the future. Because it's like if somebody would approach me like, yeah, this trumpet may not seem fun, but you can actually make a living out of playing trumpet. Like you can start your own band, because there's mad jazz bands, and or you could play for a famous marching band, or you can be in the military. You could play like they should give they should give kids tangible options and realistic, because that's the thing. It's like, or even like being an artist. Like I almost went to art school, so it's like if I would have known I could actually do art if I would have understood branding, and somebody would explain to me, oh, okay, you make a brand, like you make a certain type of art, like start making themes and all this stuff, talk to art gallery owners, put your art up, and then build your way up. I could have easily been an artist, but it's like nobody explained that to me. So it's just like, I wish I would have gotten that as a kid, because I would have probably stuck with trumpet and understood. It's like, oh, this is why I need to practice, because I need to be better in the future. But I say the official starting point was probably around shortly after I got a trumpet, because I got a trumpet when I was like 12. I think around 13, 14, I started producing, because I was like really obsessed with being a producer. Like,
do you remember where that obsession came from?
I did. I went to a studio once, because I've been in studios like hella since I was young. But like I remember I was like 12, and my mom, and because my mom's friend was a Christian rapper. And like,
shout out to the Christian rapper.
Shout out to
Tough job.
shout out to Lecrae. Side note.
I know. That's who you talking about?
No, he's just
no. You just shout out to
just general shout out.
Keep fighting what might be the good fight. I
don't know. But I went to the studio, and there was this dude. And he just had a cool like little studio, just making beats, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, this guy gets to make beats all day. I was like, this is what I really want to do. I was like, rapping's cool, but this is awesome. And I remember seeing Scott Storch.
Wow.
I remember Scott Storch is my hero. Like, it's funny. Like,
we should like cut that. That should be your drop. Or like
he's got to be somewhere out here, or maybe he's in my.
No. He actually made a comeback. It's kind of crazy, because it's like back then he was on top of the world, because like he did all the Dre records. He got a Grammy with the Roots. Like Scott Storch, because I think at the time he
Joe
was.
shouts him out at the beginning of the
Yeah, at the time Scott Storch was making $150,000 a track, and he had like hella songs on the radio, and I just thought that was the craziest thing. I was like,
there would be no DJ Khaled.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Scott Storch like created a Miami resurgence just by being a producer, and I thought that whole thing. And then also Alchemist. Alchemist was another person, because like Alchemist made beats. I loved Mobb Deep, and he produced mad records for Mobb Deep. He just bought all the nicest, newest Jordans, smoked mad weed, and just made beats and rapped whenever he wanted to. And I was like, I have to be this guy.
That sounds like a life.
I was like, so somewhere between Alchemist.
Sounds way better than practicing trumpet.
I like somewhere between Alchemist, Scott. And then Kanye came out, he was like the glorious producer rapper. So I was just like, somewhere in between those three, I was like, yeah, this is my future.
What was the first? I love this question, to pat myself on the back. What was the first?
Yeah, you even get it out yet. Shit. Get over yourself, kid.
Get ready, everybody. Have a seat. If you're listening, just take a second. If you're driving, pull over. No, but what's the first CD you ever bought with your own money? And what's the first CD you ever asked your parents to buy you?
First CD I ever bought with my own money. It's actually funny. The first CD I actually, because I used to be such a pirate, because I grew up in the LimeWire. Yeah, I think we all grew up in the LimeWire days. yeah. So like once I was able to, like once I started driving, I was like, you know what? I don't have a. Well, actually, no. I had a CD player. I didn't. Did I have a tape player? I think I had a tape player. Yeah, I did have a tape player. I had a tape player and a CD player. And I was like, I could do aux, but I don't have an aux cord. And I didn't realize you can get the tape adapter thing. So I was like, well, I need to get a CD. So I ended up getting Adele's 19. I think that was the first CD I bought with my first.
Those are some like emotional drives. Just like cruising through
She
the
has some
rock.
upbeat tracks on 19 too, if I don't recall.
I just really like how pretty 19 sound. It sounded so raw and just like certain elements I really liked. And like back in those days, I was definitely sampling super heavy. So it'd be like certain records that I attached to because it was just like, I just like, because like, I don't know, it's like her music's weird because you can loop it in certain parts and it like, I don't know, if it has a whole different feel to it. I don't know.
But what was the first one when, let's say, even younger, that you asked your parents to, or like pleaded for?
The first album I asked my parents to get, I don't know. I think
It's
it was
not that good a question.
It's
I take a step off my pedestal. Not that good a question.
I think the first album I was like wanted was I think it was Lil Romeo.
Wow, I hated Lil Romeo. As a Bow Wow fan back in the day, I thought he was...
I think it was both of them because I want to say I got both of them.
You play both sides of the fence?
I think I got both albums.
As did I.
Actually,
y'all both play both?
No,
you didn't
I
make
take
a
that
stand?
back. I take that back.
My mom wouldn't
I didn't
buy me
even
either.
ask for them. I just ended up getting them somehow. Both of those albums. I think the first album I asked for was Creed. Even funnier.
Wow.
'Cause I remember for Christmas I got a Creed album and a CD player.
And that's all you hear. That was the thing when you had like one CD and that was music to you. Anyway, we can zoom back up to the present because we kind of like interrupted the story, the progression a little bit, and we don't have to
That's
do
what we do.
We don't have to do the whole
We're
like
interrupters.
our new podcast. Oh no! Shout out to Kartemkun Films with the film The Interrupt. You know that movie?
That sounds familiar.
It's about like what Mask in the City, that where like when someone gets shot, they like go to the spot and like camp out there so that there's no retaliation.
Oh yeah.
We're not those interrupters though, and we're not those. No. But you're talking about you driving Donald around, and eventually one thing leads to another. We don't need to as much or as little as you want to share, but you find your way out here. I could imagine some of the perspective that you talked about having the zoomed out, like long-term vision, comes in contrast to like how the pressure of being out here and like trying to like quote make it.
Yeah.
Was there like a tough time initially finding your sea legs under you and getting settled out here?
I think the biggest thing being out here, because I was like blessed to be in like a good little situation out here. Like I had a place to stay when I moved out here. So like I didn't have to worry about the same problems I did being back home. Like it was basically certain worries being replaced with new worries. Like like almost like to the saying is like more money, more problems. It's like it's not even the money that becomes a problem. It's like all the things that come with the leveling up of getting more money. So it's like moving out here was a huge step. But it was also a weird step because it's like I kind of have a safety net, but also I'm not necessarily utilizing it.
And so you and Carrie moved out here together, right?
Yeah. So because we both moved out here and we ended up staying at our management's office. Basically, it was like a house that was also an office. But like, it's kind of like a shock to be like, yeah, I've been trying to be a professional musician and now I'm actually it, I guess.
Right, but it's not like there's no diploma for it.
Yeah, it's not even like somebody like is there to like certify you like, oh, well done. Like you made
Here's your 401k.
Yeah, it's just like, well, now you can do this full time, I guess.
Yeah, like you got that, like when people talk about like a break.
Yeah.
Not to take away from all the work, but you actually like the thing that never happens that everyone thinks is going to happen kind of happened.
Yeah.
And then you still go like, oh, there's then all these other things that I have to still do after. Like it's not just like set in stone now that I'm good.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like Charlie's Chocolate Factory because it's like Charlie got the golden ticket, but he still had to go through the factory to realize, like, to actually get, to like a part of the chocolate factory.
Augustus Gloop had to fall into the chocolate.
I know. See, and that's
you
the
had
thing.
to lose some people on the way.
Got to lose some people on the way, but nah.
Some people get lost in the fizzy lifting drink bottle,
Too much blue bubble gum.
But yeah, and I think that was the weird thing because it's like it's a big break, but it's like it's just the beginning. Because here I am, and I'm still not even near like a big break per se. It's just been like steps towards a big break, and it's like getting an opportunity to even be able to access a big break. And I think that's the biggest thing.
So what does that look like for you now? When you think about, forget about big break, but what you want to be doing, what is driving you? What are you excited about hopefully happening?
I'm excited about seeing like how my music affects people, and then also I'm excited to see what I can add to the table for other people's music as well, because at a certain point I realized I'm like, I need to work on my production to make it make sense, because I've always had potential, but it's like once you start getting older you start to realize it's like, I'm running out of potential time. It's like you want to just actually reach whatever's past potential. It's like this is where things need to be.
The like switch from potential to like missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Crazy thing.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, nah, that fucking kills me on a day to day. But to before we go down that rabbit hole, but on the vein of like vision and what you see for yourself, to go outside of the music first, kind of like a little 2-part question. We're really big on like reshaping culture and envisioning the world we want to see and then creating that. So this is a crazy time right now for all people, right?
Definitely.
And a lot of things are changing really fast. What are 2 to 3 things you imagine in the world you want to see? What are 2 or 3 things that are part of the world that you want? And then after that, how does your work kind of tie into that? It doesn't have to. It could just be outside of you.
I want people to be aware. I think that's the biggest thing for me, because I think I like, especially just working within music lately, and like I was explaining, like going into music psychology is understanding how people are aware of information or aware of certain things. And it's just like I would like for people to be more aware of everything around them, and even on a musical level, where it's like there are other genres outside of hip hop and R&B, or there's other genres outside of country music, or not all country music is bad. It's just like
that's a t-shirt. Right there. Not all country music is bad.
Yeah, because it's like there's several people who are like, I love every kind of music except for country and hardcore. It's just like I literally love every kind of music, because every genre has certain special gems in there that you may attached to. It's like I can listen to a Brazilian record and go listen to Kraftwerk and go listen to Faith Hill because it's all music. And that's the thing. It's like allowing people to understand it's like the world is so big and music is so big. So it's like experiencing certain types of sound, certain types of vibes, music, and just broadening that world.
When did you realize the world was so big? Because it seems like even before, like the cliche answer is like, I moved to LA and everything but I feel like that was, even in our conversations way back, you were already thinking, not even like we got to take over this global scale, but you were just like paying attention to what was happening in all kinds of spaces.
2 things. I think I was kind of born understanding that the world is big, because it's like before I was born, my dad lived in Germany and Panama. I kind of had to know where those places were. When I was younger, I was like, wow, that's kind of far. And it's kind of far. And then it's the most and then both my parents they kind of, it's weird because ever since like growing up they both spoke German, Spanish, and English, which is bizarre that they both
shout out mom and dad.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing some cool things about mom and pops. Shout out squad.
Shout outs to them. Shout outs to them. Yeah, they kept me very multicultural. Especially, I think my parents being in the military and understanding, once you understand the military and the fact that it's like we kind of took over the world in a way, you understand how really big the world is, and even understanding everything from just like history, because I used to be really into history. So it's like I could tell you all kinds of stuff about the Nazis. Like I've researched a little bit about the diaspora, like just certain things. So it's just you just understand culture, just understanding culture of different places and reading a lot and just like internet. Like once the internet was introduced, you could just Google or ask Jeeves back in the day.
Hey Jeeves. But you mentioned the history side and even the psych stuff you were talking about earlier. Do you feel any kind of pull, whether it's something to do in the future or something you wish you'd done about going to, college more formally and doing that through?
Yeah, it sounds like you would have killed that shit.
Yeah.
Not really. Or only thing I regret about not going to college is being able to experience and meet other people in college. Because that 1 week I did go to college is like even just like I know Damon now, so it's just like being able to experience being in a place where it's like a bunch of other people. They're trying to figure themselves out too, and
most of them were really whack though.
But that's also
learning that. This is whack everywhere. It's whack people everywhere.
But that's also LA to an extent, and that's why LA is like. I'm glad I didn't come here at 18, but college would have been that equivalent because it's like being here is like being in college because it's like you're away from your family, you're forced to figure things out, and you're also in a city full of a million other people who are in the exact same spot you are, and they're trying to figure shit out,
which can be exciting and also really daunting.
Yeah, being out here was my college experience in a way because it was like. Being able to be like, all right, this is what I need to focus on. This is what I need to learn. Oh, I'm interested in this. Let me check this out. And just being able to have that freedom to do that.
What were some of the myths or the kind of expectations you had for the city?
It's funny because I used to come here as a kid because my family lived in South Central. So like most of the time I came out here, I went either there. And I think one time we went to Anaheim because we went to Knott's Berry Farm. But for the most part, I stayed in like.
You spend a lot of time in Knott's Berry Farm these days? I'm kidding.
I don't. I need to go. I haven't been to a single theme park since I moved here. Can you believe that? I've been here for like almost 3 years and never been to a theme park.
I can't think of the last time I've been to a theme park.
That's like not unusual to me at all.
Man, totally random. Nah, sorry. We're about to keep cutting you off. This is just like such a happy. We're going to talk a little bit about like how it's complicated, but this is such a happy place. We've in like 2 backyards seen people with their own bouncy house.
Yeah, it's
like not like a block party, not like just kids in the backyard just kicking it on a bouncy house. No, like fucking theme park. We have a bouncy house at home.
That's like that's the funny thing about like I think the most interesting part about being here is understanding how like this place is such a polar place because it's like. There's so much good and so much dark shit too. Just do a Google search on like dark LA history and you just learn some of the craziest shit. It's like this whole damn city is haunted. Like the whole city is haunted.
That's what happens when you like build a place from scratch in the 50s. Like that's crazy.
Like this city was literally a capitalist idea in the way that Vegas is. Like, but it's like worse here just because it's like this is still masqueraded as the greatest place on earth. Even like the Valley, like I don't know if you guys been to the Valley, but like the Valley was created because these 2 guys ended up it was just a bunch of just abandoned land and they got it for super cheap and just built an irrigation system and just started popping up suburbs. And ever since then the Valley just grew.
That's just so nuts, like how recent it is. And I'm from the East Coast, even Chicago to an extent. And I wonder about Little Rock because it is, there is that kind of long and storied history that isn't. But just what does it do to how people think about places where they live and the place that they're in and the city they're in when it all just kind of feels surreal all the time?
Yeah. And I think that's also the other thing because it's like being in Little Rock, it's like life is pretty simple for the most part. It's like you kind of get the gist of life. It's nothing really feel like things that feel surreal are surreal. Like ghosts or like I seen UFOs back home. Like
we waited 55 minutes to get to this. Where and when did you see a UFO?
All right, check this. I've seen UFOs like 3 or 4 times. 2 times back home, 2 times out here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's so weird. Like the first time I saw one was I was in the car with my mom. We're driving home from church, I think. It was like dark outside. And I just remember, I don't even know what, like, when you see something in the sky, you just like, am I seeing this or am I tripping? And then like somebody beside you was like, wait, do you see that? So, and it was like one of those moments.
What did it look like? Do you remember?
It was like 3 flashing red beams. It was like a flashing light. And I was trying, like, I lived on military bases, so I'm like, no, it's not that. I don't think it's that. And so I'm just like, looks like it could be a plane. I was like, nah, planes don't look like that from below. The military vehicle, and I'm like, I know what they look like, and they don't have flashing lights like that. Like, they're not going to be that bright. And also, the military bases, there's not really a military base, or the Air Force base, but it was like flying in a different direction. I was like, it's not going towards the base. I don't know where this is going. And then like, we just happened to roll the window down, and it was dead sound.
Like there was no sound coming from it? Like
no sound outside at all. like you can't even hear the car. Like there's like dead silence. Like and me and my mom are just like, okay.
This is my favorite thing that's ever happened.
So your mom was like, this
yeah. Like, yeah, we were experiencing it together. That's what made it great, because we were just both like, all right. So I guess that was a UFO. Okay, cool. And then the second time I was in the car, that was the end of it. I was just like, all right, chalked it up. The second time I was in the car with Carrie and a friend of mine named Julio. And
shout out Julio.
Shout out to Julio, Doc Casino. We were all in the car. I was driving my car, and because I was dropping both of them home because they live off in the same neighborhood. And I was driving, and I just saw something, and they were like, yo, do you see that? I was like, yeah, it's just following us too. It's weird, because that was also the thing. It's just like it hovers, like it's like a weird hovering thing over your car, because like airplanes, they don't hover, they just go. Like
in my experience, yeah.
And
not all airplanes,
It was just like kind of hovering around the area, but it wasn't a helicopter, so I was like super confused. And it was like kind of the same situation. It was probably all of 30 miles away from the last one I saw. So I was like,
there's either something happened in Arkansas. Do you think this is about you?
I hope. I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no clue.
Oh my God, Malik, what is it?
But no, so that was another time. And the third time I was out here. The third time I was out here, and it was when I was staying in Hollywood Hills at the time. And I woke up for some reason at like 4 a.m, and like I was like, why the hell am I awake at 4 a.m? So like I just got up, walked out the door, and took a smoke break. And as soon as like I lit my cigarette, this blue light just shot up the hills, and then like it just disappeared. And I was just like, what the hell is that? If you would have seen how the house was built, like, because the house, you can't see the house from anything but a helicopter, because it's like everything surrounding the house is basically covered by trees or something.
Shout out to trees. You have no idea. All week I've been talking about trees. I'm not gonna get started, but shout out to the trees.
Shout out to the trees.
No. Can you please explain this? And we'll come back for right. UFO number 4, but
yo, all right. So like the whole like global warming shit, right?
Right.
So more or less, to simplify, we're putting all this CO2 in the air, and it's trapping heat into the atmosphere. And so when we talk about global warming, we always talk about like, let's stop pumping oil, let's get some wind turbines, let's do some water type things. But nobody talks about the fact that there is something designed to suck up CO2. Like that's what trees do by nature. If we just planted hella trees,
but you also
wouldn't it all be good?
But that's the thing also that I'm realizing, because I think that's the thing that makes me most depressed as a human being, is understanding that's like you can't explain simple things to most people. that's like such a simple, like if you told that to a child
ever, like Obama didn't say nothing, like yo, trees.
But that's the thing, is like if you explain that to a child, they'd be like, oh, this makes sense. Let's plant trees. Why don't we plant trees?
Why aren't there more trees to deal with this
you
very
explain
big
this
problem?
to an adult, they're gonna be like, what are
about
you
the profit
talking
margin?
about? Like they're not even gonna want to understand where you're coming from, just because it's like trying to explain to people like, hey, you can't just keep building things and tearing things down and expect no consequences. Like
Tree stuff.
and that's the thing. It's like the rainforest. Like as children, we were taught the rainforest is disappearing. They don't even talk about it anymore. It's still disappearing. They just stop talking about it. They're like,
It reappear.
right? And I'm like, they're not replanting anything. I'm like, why do you think so many kids have all these upper respiratory disease? I'm like, why do you think we have heart disease?
I think
I'm like, your heart and your lungs work together. It's like we need oxygen.
We need oxygen. That's the
We're
whole
not
other part.
getting
Not
it.
only does it suck up CO, it gives you oxygen. That's like the best deal. We suck. We're the ones breathing out the poison. But yeah, I think every person on the planet, all 7 billion or whatever, should be responsible to find somewhere.
Definitely.
to
Because I
plant a
mean,
tree.
we're essentially just sitting in a car, revving up the engine with like sitting in a car in a garage, revving up the engine, and eventually we're gonna die of carbon monoxide poisoning. And until then, we're just chilling in the car, listening to tunes. Like,
But back to the UFO.
UFO number 4.
all right, UFO number 4 is the weirdest one because like I was at the beach, Marina Del Rey, and I was like with a friend of mine, and like we're just chilling. And like, mind you, I'm hot. Here's the unfair part of this
Nah,
stuff.
that doesn't discredit.
Here's the thing, because anytime you tell this type of story, people try to discredit it. But I'm like, I'm the same person on or off drugs, so it's just like,
I'm willing
let's
to
get
go
this
down
straight.
Look, we made it through 3 UFO.
So the 4th one. So I just happened to take.
This is where I draw the line.
All right, so here's the thing, super, because I took shrooms that day. That's what it was.
Shout out.
Shouts to shrooms. Shrooms are
Shout
the
out to the
shrooms. For those of you who aren't into psychedelics or don't know anything about psychedelics, shrooms is the gateway drug to psychedelics.
Well, that has a bad connotation. Though.
Well, because here's the thing, and also that, and I don't mean that in a bad connotation, but it's like it opens gateway in a good thing, in a good way. Think about gates of heaven.
like gates of Dachau. Gates of...
So with usually with psychoblend mushrooms, you get it's a heightened high. So if you're taking marijuana, marijuana doesn't really change your reality. It's more so everything may be funnier, or it's just heightened senses. Essentially, it's just like
rap game Ben Carson out of here.
yeah. So it's basically like with most drugs, it's mostly heightened senses, except for salvia is. I don't know what the fuck salvia is. Certain drugs will take you out of your human form, like salvia or sherm or just certain drugs. But for the most part, psychedelics, they just unlock certain parts of your brain that you weren't used to using. Because like humans only use a certain percentage of their brain, but on shrooms, you unlock certain things in your brain that react to your insides and also react to, because it's kind of you dealing with who you are as a person in the inside.
And then all of reality outside.
Yeah, and then also
How it connects to
in tangent with also understanding the reality around you. So, and
This
yes,
is becoming my favorite interview.
so it's like, the key to shrooms is being in nature, because as humans we have such a disconnect now more than ever. We have such a disconnect with nature, and as I feel like where we started is where we were in tune with nature. Like we knew how to hunt animals because your life depended on it, so you knew how to become that animal. So it's like, because I'm part Native American, so it's just like I knew my ancestors hunted and gathered, so it's just like you have an understanding of nature.
Shout out to The Gathering. We always think about
The Gathering.
Gatherers don't get enough love.
No, but the gathering part is important, because it's like, even just like people think about berries, it's like now we're gonna enjoy strawberries and blueberries. It was like somebody had to figure out what you could and could not eat. It's like people forget that. It's like somebody had to die from eating something that they weren't supposed to eat. So it's just like
A few times. Like
a few.
Can't be sure.
Steve wasn't feeling good before he ate the stuff. Okay. Steve was green last Thursday in his day, so let's not put this on the strawberry.
But yeah, so like,
Also, shouts out to all the California berry pickers.
right, shout out.
Let's be real.
So basically, back to it. Humans in connection with nature. So it's like psychedelics bring you back into connection with the nature of the world around you. Whereas, like, for example, the guys who invented DNA, who figured out what DNA is, they took acid, and that's what led them to that discovery because it unlocked certain parts of their brain. So anyway, long story short, we're at the beach, off shrooms, having a good time. Saw seal, never saw seal in my life. So that was kind of a weird experience because I was like, do seals like people? Do they kill people? I've never lived at the beach before, so I don't know how this ecosystem works.
It was an ISO. Swimming on it.
So then, like, because mind you, there's an airport near Marina Del Rey's not that far from Inglewood, whereas the LAX is. So it's like seeing airplanes isn't bizarre because it's like, yeah, they're landing literally right next to you to the point that it looks scary as hell. Like, is this thing gonna hit me? So like we're just chilling and like I see a few planes, but it's this one object. Like it looked like a fucking Andromeda spaceship situation. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like I can't even remotely explain this shit because I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck this is because it's like this shit is a fucking spacecraft or some sort or some. Yeah,
had so much experience.
I'm looking at this shit like,
convinced.
yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck this is. I just hope it doesn't spot me. That's all I'm wishing for.
I will say this is the least convincing of the four to me personally. I'm not trying to tear you down on this. The shrooms and your identification near an airport seem
But that's
incompatible.
What makes it incompatible though?
You were off shrooms.
He doesn't know though.
That's
He
true.
hasn't-
But true. But see, but also to be fair, if somebody else does shrooms, then they'll understand. So it's like
All right,
if you disbelieve,
pause the podcast.
go do
Go find the
shrooms.
plug.
Trip for a few hours. We'll be here. SoundCloud.com/AirGo Radio.
But yeah, so like, and it just landed off in somewhere. I don't know. At the end of the day, it may not be a UFO. It may be Elon Musk's new invention that he hasn't talked about. I just know it was a UFO as far as I'm concerned. It was an object I could remotely
you could not
identify.
identify.
Right? I remotely couldn't identify. I just remember it was
You're not saying it's a spaceship, but you are saying it's unidentified.
I'm not saying it came from aliens. I'm just saying it's a spacecraft. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know that.
So I know we're winding down. I got probably a couple more questions. Yeah. You know what we got to do? It's beautiful out here. So you're 24 now.
Yeah, I'm
You've
24.
seen
I'm about to be
a bunch of-
25 this year.
You've seen a bunch of UFOs. You're living at a different place.
Yeah.
What would 24-year-old Malik tell 14-year-old Malik?
24-year-old Malik would tell 14-year-old Malik to read a lot more.
That's tough. How would 14-year-old Malik accept that? That's a boring thing for the future. I mean, love. I'll probably tell 14-year-old Dave the same thing. I don't think he would listen. You don't got nothing to tell me about Twitter, nothing. Trump, you got books, really?
I don't know. I have a weird relationship
When
with the.
you've got a library card, it's like, that's the best you got.
The future sucks.
No, well, because I say that just because it's like if you read
That's real.
a lot at those ages, then it doesn't
Crazy,
feel like a
yeah.
task when you're 24. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm going out of my way to read a book. It's like, oh, this is my normal routine, you know? So it's just like building certain routines. I would have told him, get used to washing dishes. You're gonna work as a dishwasher at 22. What else would I tell 14-year-old me?
Or like, what's a great, like a lesson you've learned about, let's say a lesson you've learned about creating.
Creating. Don't be afraid to try, like experiment, like in the creative process. Just like try even the most unorthodox things. Try different instruments. Just don't be in a box musically ever.
Here's one more of those greatest lesson. What's the greatest lesson you've learned about collaboration
Collaboration.
or relying on people? I'm just thinking about like you know, between your partnership with Carrie and the relationship with Donald, like people have I could imagine all kinds of assumptions about like how that works and the like, let's build fam type thing. That's ironic because you're the manager. So word is fam. But yeah, like what have you learned about how to actually make things together with people?
Honestly, it's funny that I feel like ever since I've been like getting deeper into like learning more about psychology, it helps more in production in songwriting and all that stuff more than ever, because even like understanding why a person is who they are, why they attach to certain sounds and why their music sounds. Because like for instance, like I was in the car with a dude, Steve Lacy from the internet, and it was like I've heard his music, like because it was actually the first time we met and I heard his music, but also he was just playing stuff that he likes to listen to in his everyday like. And it's like, then you understand, it's like, oh, this is why you make this type of music, because this is what you listen to. And a lot of times it's like artists make music either like, it's like a combination of things. Artists are a combination of the music that they want to hear. So it's like certain artists make music that they want to hear. It's like, this is what I would like to hear. So I'm adding to the earth what I want to listen to. And then another part of it is like what they aspire to be or what they aspire to do. So it's like some artists may go into a different genre because they're like, this is what I really want to do. Or they may sing because that's what they really want to do. Like Kanye, for instance, 808s and Heartbreaks. It's like, he's not a great singer. It's evident, but he's still like, this is my true desire. This is what I actually want to do. So it's like, he decided to take that step and sing. So, and then you have influences from your childhood is also another thing. So, as far as collaborations are concerned, I feel like people think it's like, oh, you're just making music all day or something like that, or just like everybody's just together in a studio at the one time. It's just like, as apart from being an artist, it's like everybody has their own personal life. So it's like making schedules or just being at the right place at the right time, and that's a lot of it.
So before we wrap, I do just want to ask, since we're out here and we're like, you know, I'm a little on my like starstruck Hollywood type thing. Any like particularly fantastic, very Hollywood, very LA stories where you were just like, how the hell did I end up in this spot?
A lot. I have like a lot of crazy stories. I'll tell very brief ones. Trying to think. I went to I got invited to Big Sean's listening party for Dark Sky Paradise. So this is 2015, I think. This is a minute ago. But like I remember because once I moved out here, I would get invited to stuff. So like we go to events all the time, like shows and concerts and all that stuff. And like so I was just like, free bar, awesome. Like I'm there. Because that was all it was like Big Sean. Because like I like Big Sean. I'm not the hugest fan, but it's like I don't dislike him either. So I'm just like, I go. Like, and then also it's a free bar. I'm like, I'm definitely going.
They got fizzy lifting drinks. Let's go.
Right. So I go. So we get there mad early because it was just like, it was a handful of people, but it wasn't like packed or anything yet. And so like and a friend of ours, because she's the one who invited us, she was like, yeah, there's open bars, so you may want to get drinks early, like a bunch of drinks early. So you know, I'm 22, so I'm just like,
don't have to tell me twice.
I was like, you don't have to tell me twice.
I
I'm like, I got.
You didn't have to tell me once.
I got like a champagne flute in one hand and like a Jack and Coke in the other, and I'm just going to town. And like, so I'd get like, because I think I got there at like 7. It's not even 8 o'clock. It's like 8:30 maybe, and I'm like faded. I'm like faded. I'm just having a good old time, just dancing and everything. So I go back.
They haven't even started playing the album yet.
Right, yeah, they haven't even played the album yet. That's how faded I am. So like I go back to the bar, and like I turn around and like I get bumped by the security guard. You know, you're drunk and somebody bumps into you. You're just like you're just like, what's going on? You're just kind of confused. And then I saw Beyonce and Jay-Z, and I was just like, what the hell? I was like, this is crazy. I never could have. It's like, because seeing them in sober probably would have been like, oh, cool, it's Beyonce, Jay-Z. But I'm like drunk, so I'm like happy as hell. And I'm just like, I can't believe this. This is miraculous.
I've been getting a lot of Beyonce and Jay-Z stories lately. Some on air, some off air.
Are you down to? Did you tell your cousins yet on the show? Are you down to do it?
Down to
tell his story. I know it's not your story.
No, I wanna like record a mini segment. We could like do a 15-minute like storytelling. No, that's crazy.
I think the other crazy story. I threw this party. Okay, so we threw this party, right? Because I dropped a project recently called Mango, and as a weird.
Where can the people find it?
They can find it on Spotify, Tidal, iTunes,
Real deal,
all that good things. SoundCloud as well. Even though I hate SoundCloud right now.
Why?
Just because I just don't agree. Well, first,
I just don't agree.
Their site needs to be redesigned. Like, I don't even know why that's not even been a discussion yet. Also, it's just like they make so many things so difficult. It's just like they just need a restructure. It's not even that I hate the site or hate what.
Critiquing from a place of love, I understand.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
the album comes out.
Yeah. So before the album came out, so long story short, had this house, stayed. It was me, Donald, and a couple other people in royalty. We stayed at this house in the hills. Donald worked on his album. Carrie finished up her album.
Is this the house from Clapping for the Wrong Reasons?
No, this is a different house.
That house was crazy.
Yeah, that house was in Malibu, I think. This house was in Hollywood Hills, and it was called The Factory. Donald worked on his album. Carrie worked on her album there. I worked on my album there, and then they worked on the show Atlanta there as well. So it was just like a super creative house. Yeah, it was just like, it's like a crazy house, super creative. Like a lot of different people came through. Like, pretty much the day we decided, the day we were moving out, we decided to throw a party. So the theme of the party was the idea of the party was like you had to bring a mango to get in the party. And nobody explained why or anything. So it was just like the invitation went out, everybody had to bring mango. So it's like, and you just had to come in, put the mango on the table, and then you can enjoy the party. And like it was like every room was kind of different because it was like one room was like a balloon room. It's like balloons everywhere, like shit ton of balloons. And then another room was like a smoker's room. And it was like it's funny because it's like this we had this lighting system in the room. So the whole room was like all one color, and when you walk out, like your vision is kind of weird because it's like everything looks purple once you walk out of the room. And then we had the living room, and everybody's watching the game and stuff, and we had a pool and all this stuff, and like, because it's funny because like I didn't think it was gonna happen. That's the thing. Is like because last time we tried to throw a party, it didn't work out. So I was just like, all right, I guess we're throwing a party. So like and. I was still like, I guess it's that. Like, I don't never know. Like, anytime somebody's like, oh, invite people, I'm just like, how many people can I invite? like what kind? Is this a function, a get together, or
hang,
a hoorah? Like, what are we doing?
Do a T-channel.
So it's funny because I really just invited like. I think I only invited like a couple friends, and I invited my aunt and my cousin, and that was like it, like because I didn't think it was gonna be a big thing, and I ended up having to run errands with my roommate's brother, and we got back, and it was like the house was full of people, and I was just like, oh wow, this is a real party, like. But like it was just so many different types of people, and I remember like we had Slim Jimmy from Ray Shimmer DJing. Like it was just like the craziest party you could possibly imagine. Like it was like
show up, you ended up DJing.
Yeah, like we got him. It was like Oshi, another producer DJ. It was just like a bunch of just people at the right place at the right time. And yeah, it was like actors in there and just like singers, just all kinds of stuff. And I just remember like at one point I was talking to somebody and Zoe Kravitz walked in. And I was just like, is that Zoe Kravitz?
That will stop your conversation.
Yo, it was funny because I was talking to a girl too. I felt so bad when I did it because like I was talking to her because it wasn't like I was talking to her, like we were just cool. And I was talking to her and like I saw her and like stop dead in my sentence. Like like dead in my sentence, like, oh wow. And then I was like, all right, cool. But it was just like that moment was just wild to me because I was like, yeah, Zoe Kravitz came to my party. And fucking Elena Glazer came and I didn't get to meet her and I was so sad about it. I was like so sad because she's like, Shout out to Broad City.
So we probably wind it down.
Yeah.
I do have one. So I'm actually glad we kind of switched this around. We usually start with this question, but I'm really kind of interested to end with it.
Oh yeah.
How is the world treating you, and how are you treating it right now?
Honestly, I think the world is treating me better than I personally feel like I deserve sometimes. And I know that's like a weird answer, but
What do you think you deserve?
I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing. Is like I don't know what I deserve. It's like brings you into a rabbit hole of other things. It's like how do you determine what you deserve as a person? But I feel like I'm treating the world pretty well. I try to. Me personally, I try to give the world what I want back. So I mean, I try not to litter as much. Try not to, cut down trees. Try not to be
shout out to the
trees.
But what do you think it would? Because what you just said about the deserving piece, we've talked about imposter syndrome before on the show, and I think that's super real. And I'm realizing more and more, especially in creative circles, how prevalent that is. Is there an external thing, like a validation for you, that you think would make you feel like, oh, I've earned this or I've deserved it? Or is it just like, how do you get to the point where you feel like you're getting, like that you deserve the things you're getting? You don't have to have an answer to that question.
I feel like it's more of an internal thing. It's like you have to have that, come to an understanding internally to be like, okay, I understand why I'm able to. But it's also, I think it's more than anything, it's just an existential misunderstanding. It's like, why? Like it's more so in reference to even reality. Why is this my reality? Because it's like, I don't know, like, because I don't know. I feel like it also has, I don't know, like it's kind of like the power of the mind, for instance. It's like that's a concept that the average person may not be into, but it's like when you subscribe to that concept and it works, but not everybody subscribes to it. It's just like, does this work? Do I deserve this? Is this magic or what? Like what's going on? Like
and it's like you do have access. You just talked about that, and I'm saying it's not. I know it's not all about being in that party for you. I know we're talking about something more. But it is a thing that a lot of people romanticize. And does it feel, first of all, I admire the way you're wrestling with it and you're able to like zoom out and have that like long-term vision. And it's not just about that party.
Because that's also the other thing is like, I feel like in a weird way, because I was put in a position to meet a lot of people I wouldn't normally have access to, but also I've never been like thirsty. Because there's one thing to be,
don't be thirsty.
Like it's one thing to be open.
AirGo PSA.
Don't be thirsty. It's one thing to be available for opportunities, and it's one thing to be completely opportunistic, and that's the thing. Understanding, because I've always been like, okay, I've always understood being in the right place in the right time, being prepared for whatever I need to take on, but also it's like what happens, like, and also understanding it's like I'm gonna have to work harder than the average person because I'm coming from a small town. So it's like when you take somebody who has, when you're dealing with that and then you're put in a world where things are a little bit easier, but you have to focus on other things, then it kind of makes you look at things in a different way. So it's like even that party, it's like the party was fun, it was cool, but it's like I've had moments like that since I've been in LA. It's like LA's been like one big long Entourage episode. Like so it's like I don't necessarily look at it like I feel like somebody, like if I was younger, I would look at it like I hang out with like I'm probably the youngest person out of everybody I hang out with. Like most of the people I hang out with are like 30. So it's like I don't know. I kind of look at things differently than I guess the average 24-year-old who hasn't been to college, So it's just like I don't really place importance on certain things like that. I place importance on it's like what am I doing for myself? It's like it's more of, or what am I doing for others, or So I think that's the biggest thing for me is like,
I want to congratulate you on.
Thank you.
On walking this walk with a certain amount of grace and
Thank you.
And so much love, man. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And it's a beautiful thing to have the three of us here.
I know we haven't seen each other forever, man.
I hope your flowers bloom. 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 I hope you grow up to be everything that you want to. I hope your flowers bloom. I hope your flowers bloom.
Rosie.
Daniel.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Look who's here in the studio.
It's me.
How's it feel to be in here?
Well, I was a little nervous earlier, but now I'm a little more calm.
Wonderful.
And I'm staring directly into your eyes.
But we do that all the time anyway.
Yeah, but there's not always all this equipment in between us.
Well, maybe this will help. Let's play a game.
Okay.
So I'm thinking maybe like taboo.
Taboo.
Like I'll give you some clues and then you'll have to guess what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I know how to play taboo, Daniel.
Oh, you'd prefer if I did not taboo-splain?
Yes, please.
All right, let's get started. Timer on the clock.
Ooh.
All right, first up.
Okay.
It's an independent podcast app.
Got it.
It embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down.
Mm-hmm.
It has no exclusives, no premium content,
All right.
no paywalls.
Great.
And it's a great podcast app for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you know it?
I think I do.
Huh, what do you think it is?
Sounds like the Overcast app.
Toots got it!
Yay!
Look at that!
I win.
Nicely done.
How does one get the app?
Well, if one were to want to get the app, one could get it for free in the App Store.
Fantastic.
Cool. You gonna check it out?
I might.
Very wonderfully non-committal. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get out of here.
Bye.